If Photoshop is showing an application error, don't panic. In most cases, this is a fixable issue, and you can often get back to editing in just a few minutes. In this video, I'll walk you through the fastest step-by-step fixes to troubleshoot Photoshop application errors on Windows and Mac. And if this tutorial helps, make sure to hit like and subscribe for more easy software fixes and guides. First, restart Photoshop and try again. Close the app completely, then reopen it. Sometimes a small background sync issue or locked process is all that's causing the problem, and a simple restart can clear it out immediately. If Photoshop still will not launch properly, the next thing to check is whether a hidden background process is still running. This happens when Photoshop closes its main window, but a ghost process stays active in the background. On Windows, press Ctrl, Shift, and S to open Task Manager. Look for any Photoshop or Adobe process, right-click it, and choose End Task. On Mac, press Command, Option, and Escape, select Photoshop from the Force Quit list, and click Force Quit. Once those background tasks are fully closed, try opening Photoshop again. If you're still seeing the application error, try a safe launch. This is especially useful if Photoshop is freezing on the startup splash screen. A third-party plugin or even a corrupted font cache can sometimes block the app from loading correctly. To do this, hold down the Shift key on your keyboard, and while holding it, double-click the Photoshop icon. If Photoshop asks whether you want to skip loading optional and third-party plugins, click Yes. This lets Photoshop open with the extra items that may be causing the crash. Now, if the problem continues, your preferences or settings file may be corrupted. When that happens, the best fix is to wipe the local settings cache so Photoshop can build a fresh one. First, close Photoshop completely. Then hold Ctrl, Alt, and Shift on Windows, or Command, Option, and Shift on Mac, and launch Photoshop while still holding those keys. You should see a prompt asking whether you want to delete the Adobe Photoshop settings file. Click Yes, and let Photoshop rebuild clean settings from scratch. If your application error happens when you open a document, zoom in, move around the canvas, or use heavy tools, then the issue may be related to GPU acceleration. In that case, open Photoshop and go to Edit, then Preferences, then Performance on Windows. On Mac, go to Photoshop, then Settings, then Performance. Find the Graphics Processor Settings section and uncheck Use Graphics Processor. Click OK, then restart Photoshop and test it again. If that fixes the problem, the next step is to update your graphics card driver, such as NVIDIA or AMD, to the latest version. After updating, you can usually turn GPU acceleration back on. And if the error mentions licensing, cloud documents, or generative AI features failing, the issue may not be on your computer at all. It could be an Adobe service outage. In that case, check Down Detector for user reports and spikes, and check status.adobe.com for official live status updates. If Adobe services are green, then the issue is probably local to your system rather than a platform-wide outage. So to recap, start with a restart, kill any frozen background processes, try a safe launch, reset the settings file, disable GPU acceleration if needed, and finally check whether Adobe is having a service issue. One of these steps usually solves the problem. If this video helped you fix your Photoshop application error, please hit the like button, subscribe for more practical tutorials, and I'll see you in the next one.